Episode 85, Wake and RAKE Podcast, power ranking time, baby. How's Arizona, Brooks?
Hot, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it's a dry heat either. It's freaking hot. So, post game, you can't get an Uber or Lyft or whatever, like right outside the stadium because it's a zoo and they have the street shut off. Pretty good crowds. They're getting like 25 to 30,000, which they should because this team's really good. But the Red Sox always draw wherever they go, basically, unless it's New York. But outside of that, I was actually surprised. It's like 50-50, maybe more than that Red Sox fans here the last few nights. But I had to walk like half a mile to where the Ubers pick up because all the streets are shut down. I'm in jeans and like a jacket, and it's 100 degrees. I feel like the sun is literally like as high as the buildings are away from me. I feel like it's on top of me. You know how it is here. It's super hot. But I will take this over Florida heat.
No.
Yes.
I hate when people do that shit.
No. You're just arguing to argue. You don't know.
It's hot.
I live in Florida. Just trust me. You walk out to get the mail and you got swamp ass. You're dripping sweat. Here, I walked half a mile in a suit and I wasn't sweating. I was hot. But I wasn't like drenched sweating. You did that in Florida when it's 82 degrees, you're drenched. Pick your poison. You can like what you like. I'm moving back here at some point.
Oh, really?
I'd love to.
Wow.
And then we can be on, well, for part of the year, we can be on the same time.
Okay.
Because they don't do daylight savings here.
Right.
So they never change their clock. So only half the year are we on the same.
That's fine. You can have your Florida swamp ass argument. That's fine. I hate when people are like, yeah, sure, it's 120 degrees, but it's a dry heat. Dude,
no. Once you get past like 105, it's really hot. It was 99 today, and I was like, it's borderline. Yeah. Now I had a lot of clothes on, but still, even in shorts and t-shirt, but like my skin's getting a little crispy.
Yeah. Exactly.
You roast. I went and play golf a couple on the off days. And
swing looked good. The swing looked very good.
Okay, I'm making some adjustments with my driver, man.
Yeah.
Driver. Okay, like you set up, my shoulders get like too level, which is fine with your irons because you can hit down on the ball. But with driver, you want to get a little lift and like swing up on the ball a little bit. So literally, such a simple fix. Just like when you line up, just drop your right shoulder. Just like such an elementary thing. Drop your right shoulder on your setup. It feels so awkward, but if you're miss, which you slice, so it's not a big deal. But for me, like with my driver, my miss is like I'll hit it low and left because I'm steep. So this just helps me hit up on the ball, and I was launching. And the thin air here too, it goes like 340. It's amazing. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Where you can bet golf actually is BetOnline, because BetOnline is your number one source for all basketball info, stats, news, and scores, and golf. Get the latest odds and lines and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA playoffs. We'll talk Celtics in a second because, damn, that was a hell of a good ending. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from basketball, MLB, NHL, hockey, golf to UFC, and boxing. The fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get into the action today, so head to the website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. You watch the ending to the Celtics game, right? We'll get the power rankings. We have best lineups in baseball right now. We'll get there, but you're on the Red Sox broadcast. People want to hear about your reaction to the Celtics game, I think.
I sent out multiple texts to people, and they all said, holy shit. Like that ending, I mean, come on. After Butler hits those 3 free throws, I'm like, which was clutch, by the way, because he wasn't exactly playing great.
I don't think it was a foul. I didn't think it was a foul.
It was a double dribble too, but they're not going to.
It was a double dribble. You're right.
But they're not going to. I'd be pissed if they called that there. Even as a Celtics fan, you'd be like, come on. I mean, you'd be happy, but you're like, all right, you can't end the game on that. I didn't see the contact. It's more in the NBA, like they're just reaction or flop or whatever, So. But how clutch was that for him to knock down 3 in that situation? I was talking to Dave O'Brien, my play-by-play guy, in the booth, and I was like, how many times we were on our way to the stadium today, and I was like, how many times, I was going through his mind as he was getting the ball on the line, and he's probably thinking, how many times as a kid are you in the backyard or in the street playing basketball, and you're like, game 6, game 7, whatever, So we got to make all 3 to win the game. Like, how many times has he had those thoughts and then it actually happened? And then boom, he just drilled all 3 of them. I was like, all right, that's got to be game over for sure, right? Like, that's nail in the coffin. Like, 3 seconds left. What a play. I thought the 3 was going in. It barely nicked the front of the rim. He almost drained that.
Marcus Smart, you mean?
Yeah, Marcus Smart's. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
Then White actually inbounded the ball on that play, and they're going to have to double Tatum on that, which they did. So somebody's open. So he inbounds the ball. Nobody watched him straight to the basket. It happens to bounce right to him. But wow, man, what an ending. So here's what I'm saying. I was telling people today, and they're like, oh, that's pretty good. You'll like this. So if the Celtics end up winning this whole thing, somehow they can win game 7, and then let's say beat Denver, which is going to be tough. Yeah. That play to end the game yesterday will be the equivalent of the Dave Roberts stolen base.
Yeah, I've heard
like
kind
that
of
is
heard
the
that
new that is like the new version of like Boston iconic sports moment. Like that's the newest one. You had the Edelman catch, right? You have Big Poppy's a bunch of knocks in the postseason in 2004. Pedroia in the World Series with like 3-homer game against the Rockies. Poppy's grand slam against the Tigers in the ALCS in 2013, right? You have all these iconic Boston. That one's going to be right up there on the Mount Rushmore. Yeah, if they can end up winning this thing. Pretty sick.
I think it's people talk about how like the teams of the cities, like they emulate the city that they play in.
So true.
Maybe this is a stretch, but I do think there's something to the fact that the only Major League Baseball team to ever come back from a 3-0 series deficit is the Boston Red Sox. And the Celtics could become the only NBA team in NBA history.
151 teams have tried to do it before this.
Yeah.
And failed. Now, I'm going to be like bearer of bad news. Not bad news, but on a Debbie Downer is like, it'll be amazing. It's a great story, but we're also saying like the Red Sox came back from 3-0 against the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
This is an 8 seed in the Heat that like they were choking this series away. So it'll still be amazing and the first team to ever do it, but I don't know. I don't want to be negative about it because it's still really cool. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Yeah.
You saw who was in the stands in Miami for game 4. Game 4. It was the first Celtics
win. Yeah. A-Rod and Jeter.
Yeah.
Jinxed it. You saw who was there last night? Johnny Damon with his 04 ring on. That was so sick.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, can you imagine who? Oh, so the Red Sox are off tomorrow night too. So they're gonna all be in a suite at the game. I guarantee they're bringing in a bunch of guys from 04. Oh my God, can you imagine? Millar, Dave Roberts can't come. Obviously, he's got to coach the Doyers. But there's a ton of guys that can come in. Poppy, I guarantee Poppy's there.
That place is going to be on fire.
It's going to be sick. They should bring in Mariano just for good measure.
They should. Let's get into our power rankings. Today, we're going to rank the best lineups in all of baseball. Keep in mind, this isn't necessarily the best lineup that we think in baseball based on talent. This is right now who's performing. And it's not
based off the numbers.
Yeah, based on the numbers. And it's not necessarily based on the entire season. That helps. But right now, who has the best lineup in baseball right now? We went 1 through 10. And this is a combo pack right here. This is Brooksy and I's power ranking. So this
it took us hours to actually agree on this.
Yeah, sure.
But here we are.
Hours, sure. Yeah. It didn't take just one trip to the restroom for Danny to put together this. No, we took hours. Let's start off with number 10, San Francisco Giants. I mentioned that this is how teams are playing right now. San Francisco has been raking. They've had the 3rd best record in baseball since April 22nd. Michael Conforto is healthy and has 10 bombs. Mitch Haniger is now healthy and hitting bombs. And JD Davis is the metric king of hitting right now.
Right.
And
they've been sneaky too because you don't hear anything about them. Number one, they're West Coast, right? So we're not staying up to watch or you are. Well, the East Coasters aren't staying up to watch the Giants play. And a lot of people already have written them off just because, number one, how good the Dodgers are, and 2, how well the Diamondbacks have played. So everyone's kind of written them off after a slow start, but they're getting going.
And, they've been called the bridesmaids when it came to free agents in recent years. They went after Bryce Harper, couldn't get him. Aaron Judge.
Bridesmaids.
I thought they'd be in the conversation for Juan Soto. They weren't. Carlos Correa situation. Well, they signed Michael Conforto, which is a very under-the-rated signing. So was Mitch Haniger. and the San Francisco Giants kind of do what the San Francisco Giants do, and they're kind of a factory, and they get the most out of their players. That's what Farhan Zaidi does.
They're
Guys
like one of the
Thairo
most.
Estrada.
They're like outside of the Rays, probably the most analytical team in baseball. Would you agree with that?
These days, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jock Peterson, by the way, is still on the injured list, so hasn't been hitting for him recently. So that could give him an extra boost too. They're 8th in barrel percentage, they're 6th in home runs, and they're 11th in baseball in at bat per home run.
Which is interesting because night games in San Fran, the ball doesn't fly at all.
What's interesting is that 2 years ago when they won 107 games, I think it was, they were first in the National League in homers and shocked everybody, right? Because San Francisco is not a good hitting ballpark. They're 6th in home runs this year. If they can maybe get a star at the deadline like they did 2 years ago with Chris Bryant, maybe they could make some noise and make a push. We'll have to see.
Do you think they need a star more on the rotation side of things?
No, they need somebody in the middle of the order. They have different guys that they're plugging into that 3-hole every day. Like they need a guy. They need a star. They have no face of the
franchise. That's not necessarily lack of a 3-hole hitter. That's like what the computer spits out against the matchup too, because that's where the analytics come in.
Right. I just think you need a guy to. Everybody jumps on his back and he leads the team.
I mean, you outscore, you're going to win. All right, let's go to number 9. I got the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Some people might argue that they're in the top 5. This is a really good offense. I think right now 9's a good spot for them. They run. They're aggressive. They're young. Adley Rutschman is a superstar. You up and down their lineup. They have guys. Jorge Mateo is somebody who's played good baseball this year, who didn't hit well average-wise last year. He's been much better this year. They're 5th in stolen bases. They're 5th in walks. They're 4th in exit velocity, which means they're squaring up the baseball even on their outs. They're loud. They're making good swing decisions. This is just a young, exciting team that's getting overlooked right now because of what Tampa Bay's doing. They're not far behind Tampa Bay. They're closing in. They just beat Texas today, which Texas is arguably one of the top 3 teams in all of baseball right now. The way they're playing, their pitching, their offense, we'll get to them. They're way up there on the list, which no one expected coming into this. But the Baltimore Orioles are a very good team. They're a playoff contender. Curious to see what they do at the trade deadline to add to that young core of guys that's going to be there for a long time. It's an exciting team.
How long until we see an extension for Adley Rutschman?
Not long.
Right.
I mean, if they're smart, they do it soon because the more he plays, the higher it's going to go. That's just how good he is. He's new age Buster Posey, in my opinion.
Agreed. I mean, if Corbin Carroll is getting 110 mil and he only played 30 games last year, Adley's probably going to get closer to 150, maybe.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Number 8, the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't want to say they've scuttled. Can I use that word? Skittled, or stumbled, scuffled. Kind of made up that word. I think it works for them though.
Skittled.
They have a lot of talent though, for sure. I think a lot of it just is like the division's so tough in the American League East, but I think they can outswing anybody in that division and anybody in the American League, really. They're 5th in strikeout percentage, so they do a good job of just putting the bat on the ball and putting things in play and making things happen. They're 6th in weighted runs created, expected weighted runs creating, WRC plus. They're 7th in on base percentage, and they're 10th in slugging. I don't think they're at where they expected to be at this point. And again, I think a lot of that is credited to that American League East and just how competitive it is.
The gauntlet.
But I think talent-wise, potential-wise, they have as much potential as anybody.
I was going to say their ceiling is as high as anybody in baseball, if not the highest.
And they're like top 10 in most categories. And if that's disappointing, I think that's a very good stepping stone.
They also they're not getting good pitching. So they're like chasing and playing catch up in a lot of games.
What's up with Manoah?
Alek Manoah is supposed to be like their stud, their ace, and he's just grinding out of the gates.
What happened? I haven't looked at his numbers. Maybe we can save that for another episode.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not good. He's getting hit hard. You know, he was always a pretty big swing and miss guy. And if he didn't have his swing and miss stuff, it seemed like he missed barrels and got weak contact. And I don't know if he's got a tip. I don't know what's going on, but he's getting hit around.
Yeah, it's weird. Who do you have at number 7?
7, I'm going to go the Arizona Diamondbacks. The fact that we're talking about the Diamondbacks being a top 10 lineup after 2 years ago, they lost 100 games. I mean, this team has some young studs on it. I mean, Corbin Carroll, I just watched him hit a homer today on a fastball, 94 up and away, like black, top of the zone, smoked it to left, backside, and on top of that, he's got some of the best sprint speed in all of baseball. I love their manager, Torey Lovello. I think he runs a good ship over there. They just believe that they can do this. They don't think this is a hot start. They think this is who they are and that they're going to continue to get better. They're a young team, and they have guys like Evan Longoria in the clubhouse to help kind of shape and mold these young guys. But if you want to look at the numbers, 7th in runs per game, they're 10th in WOBA, 7th in batting average, 6th in slugging, 4th in K percentage. Like they have the lowest swing and miss rate in all of baseball, 9.2% swing and miss, one of 4 teams that's under 10%. And in this day and age, homers and strikeouts are still king. So that's pretty impressive to see him do that, especially as like a young core group of guys going up there and just hitting the ball hard, gap to gap, not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. This is a really good lineup. This is a really good team.
Nice to see Ketel Marte kind of get back into things too. He's struggled the last couple of years after having a really strong 2019 season. Yeah, an all-star. And he got that big extension. It's been mostly disappointing.
He's a good player. He's super suave on the defensive side of the ball too. It's fun to watch him.
Yeah, they're super athletic, that team.
They did have this young catcher too. His last name's Moreno.
Gabriel, Moreno.
He's salty, dude. He's good back there. He's got a cannon for an arm. Blocks well, receives well. That's somebody we got to keep our eye on too.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You might have the numbers since you just did the D-backs Red Sox series. I want to say he has the highest caught stealing percentage among all qualified MLB catchers.
He does right now.
Yeah. Yes, he's up there for sure.
That's correct. I think he was top. He was at least top 2. Yeah.
At number 6, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. Look, the story of the Cardinals this year, mostly disappointing, but they're starting to catch fire a little bit. But it has had nothing to do with the lineup. The lineup has been raking. They're 4th in the they're 8th in all of baseball in runs per game. They're 3rd in all of baseball in total bases, 5th in OPS. Goldschmidt's been playing like his MVP self. Arenado's starting to get it going now. They have as much depth as anybody. I think maybe the most improved player in all of baseball has been Nolan Gorman. Where he started in the minor leagues, and I've been able to watch his rise to what he has become ever since he was in high school, because we did kind of a documentary-ish film thing when I was at Max Preps when he was still in high school and he just got drafted. He was a power-only guy. His strikeout percentage was through the roof. Everybody had concerns whether he could put the ball in play enough. He's shortened up with 2 strikes. He's also hitting the ball with power. He's hitting balls on both sides of the plate too, outside, inside. I think Nolan Gorman has been an absolute X factor for that team. And I think the offense is as good as anybody's, and I think they have as much depth as anybody in the National League.
Yeah, slow start for sure. But right now, really over the last 3 weeks, ever since they were in Boston, they came to Boston, and that's really when they started heating up. Arenado got on that homer streak. We hit the homers in 5 or 6 games straight. You said it, Goldschmidt's just playing like Goldschmidt does. But Gorman hit a big homer late in one of those games in Boston to right field and into one of the bullpens to give them the lead late. He's a stud, man. No way around it. You're right.
Speaking of Boston.
Yeah, number 5, Boston Red Sox. They've been top 3 offense in baseball up until the last week. They got swept in Anaheim against the Angels. They scored 4 runs that entire series. Was bad. So I took them out of the top 3 just for now because we're doing the top lineups right now. They're 6th in strikeout percentage. They're 4th in runs per game, 5th in on base percentage, 6th in OPS. They lead the league in doubles, 7th in slugging. This is a really good offense. Rafi Devers obviously is who he is. He's an elite hitter. You don't sign for $330 million if you're not. Alex Verdugo is pretty much not reinventing himself, but reproving himself. He's been having a good year. He's slowed up here. He's in a 4-5 for 25 stretch right now where he's slowed down a little bit on this road trip. But you got to realize this offense too, they have guys coming back. The Trevor Story, hopefully by the trade deadline, would be nice getting him back. Adam Duvall, who was the best player in the world for the first 2 weeks of the season before he broke his wrist, is coming back pretty soon. They're going to have some movement with their offense. With some infielders coming back from injury too coming up. But this is just a really good offense. This is what they do. They score runs. They get on base. They walk. They don't swing and miss near as much as they did last year. And for them, this last week has been a struggle. They still found a way to take 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks, who are a really good team here in Phoenix over the last 3 days. Today, Merrill Kelly shoved it up their ass. He's nasty. I mean, just fastball, cutter, changeup, occasional breaking ball, but he was really good. But the Red Sox, we'll leave them at 5. I'm not putting them at 3 right now because they're scuffling a little bit.
Let's kick it over to the West Coast for number 4, and it's a team that you had getting an A when we did report cards on the last episode. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have some new faces and new places. Like they didn't ship them. They lost Trey Turner over to Philadelphia. JT's now with Boston.
Probably a good thing. Trey Turner's grinding, by the way.
I know. It's weird.
Nice.
Yeah. And dude, the Dodgers have lost 4 shortstops over the last 5-6 years with Machado, Turner, Seager, some big names right there. But the Dodgers do what the Dodgers do. They're still first in walk percentage. They're first in base on balls. They're third in slugging percentage. They're fourth in OPS. This is a year that everybody kind of expected them to take a back seat to the San Diego Padres, at least on paper.
Yeah.
Here they are end of May, coming up on June, and they're still one of the best offenses in baseball. Dave Roberts plugs and plays as good as any manager in baseball. They grind out at bats. They see as many pitches as anybody, and that's I think it's a Max Muncy. He emulates what that entire lineup does. Sees a lot of pitches, hits long balls, grinds out at bats. JD Martinez is swinging the bat well, again with power. By the way, it's a lineup you don't want to face. It doesn't matter if they have new faces and new places. This is a team that just grinds out at bats.
You brought up a good name, JD Martinez. I was counting him out. I thought he was done after, watching him deal with back injuries all last year with Boston. The numbers were down. The power numbers were way down. He wasn't catching up to fastballs. He's got 9 and 31 right now.
Yeah.
Dude's raking.
Freddie Freeman, that contract, he's almost underpaid, man. That guy is a freak. And his contract's going to end when I think he's 37, 38. And after this last offseason, when you're seeing Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, their contracts are going to end at 41. Freddie Freeman's contract with the Dodgers is going to end at 37.
That's not a good comparison, though, because the Padres were so willing to overpay to just lock them in for their primes that they weren't even worried about the last 4 years of that.
Freddie Freeman's a stud. That's my point.
I agree. Yeah. Dude rakes. The best bat to ball skills in the game.
Yeah, incredible. Let's go top 3, Brooksy.
The top 3 it's a coin flip, man. Yeah. There's any one of these top 3 teams could be number 1. I'm going to put the Texas Rangers at number 3. This is a team that no one saw coming. We knew they were going to be better. Last year they signed Seager and Simeon to those massive contracts. This year they focus more on pitching and bringing in DeGrom, Eovaldi, Haney, and they've been able to re-sign Martin Perez. They've been able to really put together a complete team. Have Bruce Bochy driving that ship. That for him to come out of retirement means he loves the game, and you bring that into a clubhouse with the knowledge and experience he has. That's going to rub off on players. But look at the stats. I mean, first in runs per game, second in WOBA, third in OPS, second in average, fifth in exit velocity, eighth in home runs, and they're just every night you look up and you're like, oh, another 7 runs. Oh, another 6 runs. Wow. 15 runs. I think they have the most 10-run games in all of baseball. They have the most wins by 10-plus runs in all of baseball. They've been beating the crap out of people, not just squeaking by. They got beat today by the Orioles, but that's a really good baseball team. That game, a little bit of a pitching duel. But they're pitching, they're playing defense, they're running bases, they're hitting. This is a complete team who has a real chance to win that division.
The Tampa Bay Rays do not have the best run differential in baseball. The Texas Rangers do, plus 123. That surprised me.
That's insane. Especially, that's a good stat. I missed that. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
I got to be better.
Yeah, come on, man. Read your notes. No, I didn't even have it on our notes here, but I think that just got updated today because I think Texas won on Sunday. But you know what? Tampa did too, actually. They beat the Dodgers.
Tampa won, yeah, but Tampa beat – who did they beat?
Dodgers, 11-10.
Yeah, 11-10, right.
At what, a 9:30 a.m. start? Come on.
Tampa took 2 of 3. Tampa doesn't lose at home, man. They're 26-5 or something at home. It's ridiculous.
It's good foreshadowing.
Number 2, who you got?
Point. Number 2, not the Rays. We have the Braves. By the way, I think we we moved the Rangers down a couple of spots. You mentioned their first runs per game. Some of their metrics are saying that maybe they've been a little bit luckier than, say, the Braves and Rays. So I might have just said another team. Braves at number 2.
Everybody can guess it at this point.
First in average exit velocity, first in barrel percentage, first in hard hit percentage, second in OPS and slugging, third in home runs, fifth in runs per game. A little bit surprising that they're only fifth in runs per game. Not that that's anything to be upset about. You're still top 5, but when you look at their metrics, God,
but they can pitch, so it doesn't matter.
The team rakes, man. And Acuna has been an MVP candidate this year. Austin Riley, it's still one of the more underrated players, I think, at the hot corner.
They're up 7-2 on Philly right now in the 4th. I got it on.
Yeah, I feel terrible for their starting pitcher. He's like bounced around the league. He got claimed by waivers, and he got rocked in the first inning. Matt Olson hit a bomb for 50 feet, dude. Sean Murphy has all of a sudden found a new level to his game, too.
Acuna's going to be an MVP.
At this point, he's probably your MVP.
He's on pace for like 60 bags and 30 homers.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's not bad. That lineup rakes, man. They're really, and we thought that it might take maybe not a step back, but there was a question mark at the shortstop position with losing Dansby Swanson. Orlando Arcia has slotted right in there and been a very formidable player for them. So the Braves rake, man. They're a really good team.
Well, we all know who number 1 is.
Yeah,
it's the Rays. First in average, first in OPS, first in homers, first in runs, WOBA, slugging. You name a stat, they're the best. This is just the best, not only the best lineup, but the best. I don't know if I want to say best team, because I think the Braves are just a little bit better team. But by the numbers and by record, the Rays are the best team in baseball right now. Yeah. Their offense has been unbelievable. They're not just hitting for average. They're hitting homers. They're slugging. They're hitting doubles. This team's scary, man. It really is. And I keep waiting for them to take a step back and slow down. And it's not happening. They're actually just this good. And they're on track to win 120 games right now. They're 39 wins right now, and it's not even June.
We keep saying that eventually they're not going to be as hot anymore. They're still hot. It's almost.
Yeah, they lost like what, 2 or 3 of the last 10 games. That's them slowing down.
Yeah. I have a couple stats to mention actually, and I forgot to put it on the list. I'm sorry. I'm just going to share here. But Tampa Bay Rays have 11 different players with 7 or more homers this year. They've played 50 games, just a couple more, about 52 games. The Tampa Bay Rays had 8 players with 7 or more home runs all of last season across 162 games. So they already have 3 more players with 7 or more homers than they did all last season, man. They have 7 players 11 different players. That's your lineup goes 9 deep. That means you have 2 more guys on your bench with 7 or more homers.
That's a joke.
That's ridiculous. Tigers don't have any. The Nationals, I think they have 1. I don't think the Colorado Rockies have any with 7 or more homers. The Rays have 11. It's unbelievable.
I'm running out of words for the Tampa Bay Rays, man. Every year I think, all right, they're taking a step back.
And I think they heard Will Middlebrooks on our season preview and took it straight to heart.
Bulletin board material.
Yeah.
They give a shit what I have to say.
I give a shit. That's our power rankings. Those are the best lineups in baseball right now. Disagree with us? Shouldn't have tuned in. Sorry to hear it. Sorry to tell you that your team didn't make the list. Sorry about it. Our show, our opinions. You can listen to everything that we say, do, share, formulate opinions on the Wake and Rake social media pages at WAKE and RAKEpod and on the @Believe Network accounts. Power rankings every Monday. Hopefully we'll talk again soon. Thanks for Brooksy for jumping in here after doing the Diamondbacks and Red Sox game. We'll talk soon, people. Peace.
Peace.